Before you buy a house in Georgia, there are a few things that might completely surprise you, especially if you're moving here from Florida, California, or just about anywhere else. And trust me, knowing these things before you buy could save you a few "I wish someone would have told me that" moment. And trust me, I say that with love because I'm originally a Florida girl. The first time I started house hunting in Georgia, I remember thinking, y'all, what is going on around here? There were so many things that were completely normal to everyone else, but totally new to me, like basements and hills and windy roads. Even the way the houses were built, I kept catching myself thinking, wait, this is totally normal here. Hey y'all, I'm Jackie Hart, and together with my handsome husband, Greg, we're real estate agents here in the North Metro Atlanta area. Every single week, we help buyers relocate to Georgia, navigate the home buying process, and find the right place to call home. Over the years, Greg and I have helped hundreds of buyers move to Georgia, and we've noticed the same question come up over and over and over again. Things that longtime Georgians don't even think about. But they can be a big surprise if you're moving here from another state. So today, I'm sharing things I wish someone would have told this Florida girl before buying a home in Georgia. And remember, these are just my own opinions based on my own experience and what Greg and I see every day helping buyers relocate to the North Georgia area. So why don't we jump right in? So the very first thing that caught me completely off guard was the houses. Seriously, as a Florida girl, I thought a house was a house, but boy, was I wrong. The first time I started house hunting here in Georgia, I remember walking into the home and thinking, oh, this feels different, but not bad, just different. If you're moving to Georgia from Florida, or honestly from another state or wherever, you're probably going to notice it too. For starters, you're going to see a lot more traditional homes here, with brick exteriors, beautiful front porches, fireplaces that actually work, real dining rooms, and homes with a lot more character than I'm used to. Then there was the flooring. Can we talk about the flooring for a minute? Because where I came from, it felt like every house had tile. Tile in the living room, tile in the kitchen, tile in the bedrooms, tile, 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 more tile. Then I got to Georgia and suddenly it was hardwood floors, luxury vinyl planks, carpet upstairs. And I remember thinking, where did all the tile go? Now here's something else that surprised me. Georgia homes just have a different personality. Some have beautiful built-in bookshelves, some have gorgeous trim work, cozy fireplaces, big front porches where you can actually sit down and enjoy your coffee. They're just built differently than what I grew up around. And honestly, I fell in love with it. Now that doesn't mean that one style is better than the other. It's just different. And that's something that Greg and I always tell our buyers. Try not to compare every Georgia house to the house that you're leaving behind, because if you do, you might accidentally pass on the house that's actually perfect for you. Keep an open mind. I can't tell you how many buyers we've worked with who've walked in the house thinking, I'm not sure about this, only to walk out saying, okay, this is the one. Sometimes the house you least expect becomes the one you can't stop thinking about, and trust me, that happens a lot more than you think. All right, can we talk about basements for a minute? Because if you're moving to Georgia from Florida, you're probably thinking exactly what I was thinking. I do not want a basement. Seriously, growing up in Florida, basements just weren't a thing. And if you did hear someone talk about a basement, it was usually because it was in a scary movie. So when I started looking at homes in Georgia, Greg would say, hey, this one has a basement. My first thought was like, ew, I do not want a basement. I don't want one. But then he talked me into it and I actually walked through one, and let me tell you, it completely changed my perspective. Here's what surprised me. Most basements in Georgia are daylight basements, not those dark, creepy spaces you see in movies. Because so much of North Georgia is very hilly, many homes are built on sloped lots. That means when you walk around to the back of the house, the basement is actually open to the backyard. It has windows and natural light. Sometimes it even has its own entrance. Ooh. I've seen basements with beautifully family rooms, guest suites, home gyms, movie theaters, full kitchens. Some are so nice you honestly forget that you're even in the basement. And if the basement isn't finished, that's a blank canvas, maybe extra storage, workshops, home gym, or maybe if your future project that you're ready for to knock out. Now here's something else that surprises a lot of buyers. You often see dehumidifiers running in a basement. The first time I saw one, I immediately thought, something is wrong here. But Greg explained that actually that's a good thing. Georgia is humid, like really humid. A dehumidifier pulls the moisture out of the air and protects the home. To me, when I see a homeowner taking those extra steps, it usually tells me that they're taking good care of their house. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't have a basement inspected. Absolutely have it inspected. You want to make sure there aren't any drainage or moisture issues, but don't let the word basement scare you away before you even walk through the front door. Because remember, this Florida girl almost talked herself out of one of my favorite features of a Georgia home. And guess what? I now have a house that does have a basement and I love it. Now here's another one that caught me completely off guard, and honestly, I still laugh about it today. When I lived in Florida, I felt like everything was right around the corner. You need groceries? 3 minutes away. Need to run to Target? 5 minutes away. Need some coffee? Practically across the street. Then I moved to Georgia and I quickly learned that distance and drive times are two different things. You'll look at the GPS and think, oh, the grocery store is about 4 miles away. I'll be there in no time. Well, 20 minutes later, you're finally pulling up into the parking lot. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but not by much. One of the things you'll notice about many communities in the North Metro Atlanta is that there are a lot of winding roads, traffic lights, and neighborhoods with one main entrance. So even though something might be just a few miles away, it can still take longer to get there than you're used to. And if your house is toward the back of the neighborhood, like Bridge Mill, you might spend 5 or even 10 minutes just getting to the front entrance before your trip really begins. Now, does that bother everyone? No, not at all. In fact, a lot of buyers tell me they actually love it because it makes the neighborhood feel quieter and more tucked away from the hustle and the bustle. But if you're coming from an area where everything is built around convenience, it's definitely something you'll want to keep in mind. One thing Greg and I always encourage our buyers to do is this: when you find a house you love, don't just tour the home. Drive the route to the grocery store. Check out where the closest Target is. See how long it takes to get to your favorite coffee shop. If you're commuting to work, drive that route too, especially during rush hour, because buying a house isn't just about loving the home, it's about loving your everyday life once you move in. And trust me, after a few weeks, you'll figure out all the back roads just like the rest of us. Well, most of them anyway. I'm still discovering shortcuts, and Greg usually just smiles because he always knows a faster way to get there, and I just ignore him and keep driving. All right, confession time. Another thing that completely surprised this Florida girl: stairs. Y'all, there are a lot of two-story homes in Georgia. If you're moving from Florida, Arizona, or parts of California, where ranch homes are everywhere, this might be one of the biggest adjustments. I remember thinking, wait, why does every house have stairs? Now, they're absolutely ranch homes here. In fact, they're one of the most requested floor plans Greg and I get asked about all the time. But here's the catch. Because they're in such high demand, they usually don't stay on the market very long. So if you got your heart set on one level living, just be prepared that you may have fewer options. And when the right one does come along, you'll probably need to move pretty quickly. Now, for everyone else, don't write off a two-story home just yet. I've had so many buyers tell me, I don't want stairs. Then we find the perfect house, and suddenly those stairs don't seem like a big deal much anymore. In fact, there are actually some advantages. You can keep all the bedrooms upstairs and your entertaining space downstairs. Parents love having a little separation from the kids, or if you work from home, it's nice to have an office away from all the activity. Now, will you get your steps in every day? Absolutely. Who needs a gym membership when you forgot your phone upstairs for the 3rd time today? And I can't tell you how many times I've walked all the way downstairs, sat down, got comfortable, and realized my phone was upstairs. Again. So yes, you'll probably get a few extra steps in living in a 2-story home, but after a few weeks, you won't even think about it anymore. And at the end of the day, Greg and I always tell our buyers, don't focus on whether the home has 1 or 2 stories, focus on whether it fits your lifestyle. Because the right floor plan isn't about what everyone else wants, it's about what works best for you. Now, can we talk about something that nobody warned me about before moving to Georgia? The trash. Now, I know this isn't exactly the glamorous part of buying a house. Nobody's scrolling Zillow thinking, I wonder how the garbage gets picked up. But trust me, it's something you need to know. Where I came from, trash pickup was just there. You put your garbage out and then it magically disappeared. You didn't really think much about it. Then I moved to Georgia and realized depending on where you live, trash pickup may not be included in your property taxes. Instead, you typically hire a private sanitation company and they'll come pick up your trash each week. The good news, it's usually very affordable. The even better news, you don't have to haul your own garbage to the dump. Now, I know some people do that, but if you ever smelled garbage sitting in the back of your car in the middle of a Georgia summer, you'll understand why I'd much rather pay someone else to come and get it. And speaking of garbage, if you watched my video about homes with steep driveways, you already know where I'm going with this. Dragging those trash cans down a steep driveway every week and then pushing them all the way back up. That's a workout nobody puts in the listing description. So if you're house hunting and you find a gorgeous home sitting on what feels like a side of the mountain, just remember every Tuesday or whatever your pickup day happens to be, you and those garbage cans are gonna be close friends going up and down. Now, every county and every neighborhood can be a little different, so this is one of those questions Greg and I always help our buyers answer before closing. Who picks up the trash? How often? Is it recycling included? It's just one more detail that makes settling into your new home a whole lot easier, because buying a home isn't just about the house, it's about knowing what everyday life is really going to feel like and look like once you get there. Here's one that might sound a little random, but if you're moving to Georgia from another state, especially somewhere like Florida where I grew up, this might catch you off guard. It's the wildlife. Now, before anyone from Florida jumps in the comments, yes, I know we have alligators. Yes, I know we have love bugs. We have our fair share of interesting creatures, yes. But Georgia has a whole different cast of characters.
Look at Mom. Look at what she got. We got it.
When Greg and I are out showing homes, it's not unusual to see deer wandering through a neighborhood like they own the place. You'll see squirrels doing acrobatics across the trees, rabbits hopping through the backyard, and if you're lucky, or maybe unlucky, you might even spot a family of wild turkeys just strolling across the road like they don't know they have a care in the world. Then there are mornings you'll drive to show a house and you realize, yep, traffic has come to a complete stop because somebody's waiting for a beautiful family of deer to cross the road. Welcome to Georgia. Now, one thing that did surprise me was just how nature is woven into everyday life here. Many homes back up to wooded areas instead of another neighborhood, and honestly, I love that. You get a little bit more privacy, you hear the birds instead of the traffic, and if you're sitting on your back deck with your morning coffee, don't be surprised if a deer wanders by to say good morning. Now, with all that wildlife comes a little bit of responsibility too. If you're driving at dawn or dusk, especially on Some of our back roads, just stay alert because that's when deer are most active. And Greg has actually hit a deer before. Greg and I always tell our buyers one of the best parts about living in North Georgia is how close you feel to nature. It's one of the reasons so many people fall in love with this area. So yes, you may see a little bit more wildlife than you're used to, but for most people, that's actually a part of its charm. And honestly, I'll take watching deer in my backyard over listening to traffic any day. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last thing. After helping so many buyers relocate to Georgia, there's one surprise that Greg and I see over and over and over again. People come here looking for a house, but they end up falling in love with the lifestyle. It's funny because so many buyers start the process with a checklist. I want 4 bedrooms, I want a big backyard, I want an open floor plan, I want a great kitchen. And those things are important, but once they get here, they start talking about completely different things. They love sitting on the back deck, listening to the birds. They love having seasons. They love seeing the mountains in the distance. They love meeting neighbors who actually wave when you drive by. They love Friday night football, the local festivals, the farmers markets, the little downtown areas that have so much character. And before they know it, Georgia starts feeling like home. Now, are there things you'll have to get used to? Absolutely. Every state has its quirks, but for most of our buyers, those little adjustments become part of the reason they love living here. So if you're thinking about buying a home in Georgia, my biggest piece of advice is don't just shop for the house, shop for the lifestyle. Because the house is where you live, but the community is where you'll make your memories. And that's something you can't see on a Zillow listing. So there you have it. Those are some of the biggest things that surprised this Florida girl when I bought a home in Georgia. And they're the same things that Greg and I still talk about with our buyers relocating here every single week. Now, does that mean these things are bad? Absolutely not. They're just different. And honestly, there's some of the reasons I've come to love calling Georgia home. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Buying a home in Georgia isn't just about finding the perfect house. It's about finding the right community, the right lifestyle, and a place that truly feels like home. That's exactly what Greg and I help our buyers do every single day. So if you're thinking about relocating to Georgia or buying a home anywhere in the North Metro Atlanta area, we'd love to help you make your move as smooth as possible and maybe even a little more fun than ours was. You can find all of our contact information right here on the screen. Whether you're moving next month or just starting your research, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to hear your story and help you every step of the way. Now, before you go, I've picked out 2 videos that I think will really help you on your relocation journey. Check out my Alpharetta versus Roswell or the Woodstock It's Not For Everyone comparison video. I'll break down the cost of living, lifestyle, schools, commute, and what makes each city so unique that you can decide which one fits you best. I'll have both of those videos linked right here on the screen. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments what surprised you the most about buying a home here in Georgia. Or if you already live here, what do you wish someone had told you before you moved? I read every single comment and I love hearing your stories. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, that's your heart to heart with your favorite hometown realtor, Greg and Jackie Hart, and we'll see you in the next video.